So nowadays, everyone is trying to get in a SUV because they're more trendy, they have more quote-unquote capability and more versatility, and all of that means that the sedan market is plunging. Not a lot of people are buying mid-size sedans anymore. Now, Toyota is trying to counter-do this and draw people back into the family sedan market with their new 2018 Toyota Camry. This car completely changes the ball game compared to the old Camry and honestly some other mid-size sedans. Completely changed the ball game, ups its game so much, and Toyota hopes that this Camry will bring buyers back to the ailing mid-size sedan segment. Now, let's talk a little bit about the Camry and what's new. So obviously, it looks completely different. This car is an all-new redesign. It's not like the previous Camry where they did a refresh and redid the exterior and left the chassis and all the components the same. This is a brand new car, and it looks really freaking good in my opinion. The front end is extremely aggressive. You have headlights that are a lot more toned, a lot more angular compared to the old Camrys. And I think they really nailed it with the grille. The old Camry just had this massive grille, like this upside down V formation, and it just didn't look very good. Like, it was like trying to look aggressive without really succeeding. Like, you could tell they were just trying too hard. This is it's a lot more understated than the old grille was, I think, but because of that, it looks cooler and a little more aggressive because it's a lot more angular. I love the black finish on it on this SE trim that I'm driving right now, and I think the front end looks really sharp. Moving on to the sides, the SE trim that I'm in adds these side skirts that look really nice. They're flare out from the side of the car, and they make the car look lower and wider and more aggressive. Think of it as like a little body kit. You see the same thing on the front end. You have a little lip spoiler that, oh, lane departure warning. Guess I'm not in my lane. But yeah, so you have that little lip spoiler on the front end that looks really good, makes the car look lower, makes the front end look a bit meaner. And then in the back, you have a rear diffuser. I mean, it's fake. It's part of a body kit to make the car look sportier, but I think it looks really nice. It makes the rear end kind of look more squat. And you can actually get this car with a quad exhaust kit that makes it look really aggressive and makes it look a lot sportier than most cars in the mid-size sedan segment. Now, this car only has 2 exhaust pipes on one side. It's not the quad exhaust kit, but if you do get the quad exhaust kit, it's actually functional, making the total output for the 4-cylinder 206 horsepower instead of 203, which is actually pretty neat because most of the times quad exhausts don't do anything except for increase the aesthetic appeal of the car. Now, let's talk about the underpinnings of this car. This is the 4th car that Toyota's made that rides on the new TNGA platform, which is one of the new platforms that Toyota's trying to integrate into all their models to bring all their cars up to date. And it really changes the way this car drives. It is extremely comfortable, extremely quiet, but Toyota hopes that this platform adds a bit more like panache to the driving experience of the car. Now, this car is not a sports sedan. Let's not kid ourselves with that. It's still a Camry, but it does have McPherson struts in the front and double wishbone rear suspension, which makes it handle a bit more competently. It does ride nice on the road. It's very controlled. The ride is quite quiet. And remember, I'm in the SE model. This is the sportier model. I'm sure the LE is even quieter and rides even better. But one word that describes the cabin of this car is whisper quiet. That's actually 2 words, but whatever. It's whisper quiet in here. Like, I have the AC on because it's about 95 degrees out, but I'll turn it off for a sec. It's extremely quiet in here. Like, words cannot describe how quiet it is. And honestly, it handles okay. Like, the steering's a bit numb on center, and to be honest, there's a little more body roll than I would have liked, even though compared to the old Camry, like, these people probably think I'm an idiot, but it changes direction so much better. And while there is still a teeny bit of body roll, it's extremely minimal. And for a Camry, it's downright amazing in my opinion, just the way that this thing handles. Once you start to dial in lock, it really doesn't feel that bad. There's a good amount of weight to the steering, but just on center, there's really not a whole lot of feel. It's kind of dead and a little bit too light. But honestly, compared to the old Camry and compared to a lot of many mid-size sedans nowadays, it handles very well for the class. There are no complaints on my side. If I was looking for a sports sedan, I wouldn't even consider the Camry in the first place. So for most mid-size buyers, it's an added bonus that the car handles as well as it does. Now let's talk about the engines. I'm driving the 2.5 liter 4-cylinder, which is brand new. It's been completely reworked from the old car, and it produces 203 horsepower and 184 pound-feet of torque, which is up from the previous generation's numbers of 178 horsepower. Now, like I said, with the quad exhaust, you can get it up to 206 horsepower, but 3 horsepower difference, you're never really going to notice that. Now, this brand new engine is a much more higher compression engine compared to the old one. It has a 13-to-1 compression ratio, and it redlines at 6,600 RPM, which is very cool. It's a lot more free revving, a lot more higher revving than the previous engine, and it makes its peak horsepower at 6,600 RPM. Most sedans don't do that. And you can actually rev this engine up without feeling like you're killing it. Like, it doesn't mind being revved compared to some other mid-sized cars. You'll rev them and they'll be like, ah, you can tell they don't want to be revved. This thing's actually pretty sporty because of the high compression ratio, all new engine, drives a lot better as a result. And it's linked up to a new 8-speed automatic. It's about time Toyota introduced an 8-speed automatic, or just a new transmission in general. The 6-speed was getting old, which is kind of funny because 6-speed used to be the big thing, but now it's like the equivalent of what the 4-speed used to be a few years ago. No one uses 6-speeds anymore. 8-speeds are where it's at. Now, this transmission does have paddle shifters. I'm going to flick it into sport mode, show you how it works. Yeah, you can kind of hear the engine. Doesn't sound that bad. It's actually pretty hushed. But these paddles, the upshifts, when you're not on the throttle, they're pretty quick. But when you're on the gas, it revs way higher than you want. I'll click the paddle, and it'll rev for a couple seconds longer and then switch gears, which is unbelievably aggravating. Because if you want to shift gears at 4,000 RPM, you pull the paddle, you'll probably be shifting at around 5.5. That's how long it takes. Now, the downshifts, I'm in 3rd gear right now. Now, I'm going to flick it down. It's extremely quick. Like, obviously it's not double clutch or supercar or sports car quick, but for a sedan, the downshifts are very impressive. I just wish they could have done the same thing with the upshifts, because when you're upshifting on hard throttle, the transmission will hold gears longer than you're telling it to, which gets pretty damn annoying. But overall, the transmission shifts very smooth. It's very nice, and it just adds a sense of refinement to this car that you didn't get with the old 6-speed. And it improves the fuel economy to ridiculous numbers. This is a family sedan. This thing's huge. It can haul 5 people and 15.5 cubic feet of luggage and still get crazy fuel economy. It gets 29 city, 41 highway with the 4-cylinder. That's ridiculous. Now, smaller cars, subcompacts, don't even get that. Like, my mom's Hyundai Accent gets 27 city, 37 highway. This beats that in the city and on the highway. And this is a huge family sedan. That's absolutely unbelievable to me, considering that the performance is still this good. And you can get the V6 with 301 horsepower that gets you, I think it's 26 mpg combined, which is very good for a car with 301 horsepower. That's insane. Now, official performance figures have not been released yet on this car. Don't know the 0 to 60, but I'm guessing it's probably about 7.5 seconds. Like, it's actually pretty damn quick. Now, I've been talking about power and ride and handling on the Camry, but really, power and handling aren't what you're going to buy this car for. You're going to buy it because it's very easygoing and easy to live with, and they've upped that hugely with the 2018 model. This interior is a ridiculous improvement over the old car. The old car, it was plasticky. It was kind of nice. I didn't mind the overall layout, but certain things just didn't add up in the interior. It just didn't feel like it was completely able to compete with the class. It just felt a little bit downgrade. And this completely changes that. You have a soft touch dash, and you have this very nice stitching. It's a 2-tier dash. You have a black top with a gray midsection with nice stitching in it, and it actually overlaps to look like it's almost like bonded leather, even though we all know it's just soft touch material. It looks very good, and the stitching isn't fake. It's actual thread that they use. It's not just a faux stitching effect, which I really do appreciate. Now, this design kind of reminds me of the way the Corolla is going. It has these air vents that are integrated into the dash, in a way that makes them look more like accent pieces than like they're just stuck there randomly. They flow very nicely, and I really like this trim that they have. It's like this, I don't even know how to describe it. It kind of looks like aluminum, but it's like brushed and has these little dots in it that kind of give it this kind of space age effect. And it looks so classy. This color combo is very nice, especially for the base model SE. I'm very, very impressed with the way they put it together. You have these chrome accents around the air vents. You have these chrome bars that run along the doors. You have dual tone doors, and the whole interior looks awesome. The infotainment is very nice. You can get an 8-inch screen in higher end models, but this car, the SE, comes with a 7-inch one, which honestly is totally big enough in my opinion. I wouldn't have any complaints with an infotainment screen this big. The graphics, while I wouldn't necessarily say they're best in class, they are a lot better than they were in the old Camry and some other old Toyota products. And the buttons are big and easy to use, huge font, very easy to control. You have a lot of solid buttons. And the AC is single zone. I would appreciate it's dual zone, but you can get that in higher trim models. And honestly, I have no complaints at all. Big buttons, blows cold. Obviously, it's a brand new car. What new car doesn't blow cold? Let's be serious here. And one thing I do very much appreciate about this interior is the leather wrapped steering wheel. It feels so high quality. It's very, very nice. The paddle shifters don't feel particularly cheap. They are plastic, but they feel pretty nice in your hand. And the shift lever is so much better. They used to be just these cheesy, plasticky things. This one's nice, leather wrapped, feels quality. Now let's talk about the seats. These seats are very, very comfortable. They have lots of padding, not quite as much bolstering as I would expect in the sport model, but here's where it really does pull into its own. They are partial leather. That is huge for a car at this price point. A lot of the times you're just getting cloth seats, but Toyota offers you partial leather. They feel high quality. Obviously it's not real leather, it's that soft tex material, but having partial leather seats just ups the experience. And even the cloth inserts aren't that bad. You have a piece of suede material, suede piping down the center of the seat here, and then the actual inserts, they feel like a kind of vinyl material. I'm pretty sure they will not stain the way regular cloth seats do. So that just adds to the comfort and the longevity of these seats. You have a lot of adjustment, no seat memory. You can get that on higher trims. But overall, comfort is very nice. Rear seat room is pretty big, and headroom for me is actually not bad. I mean, they did lower headroom a little bit just by the fact that they made the roofline more aggressive to give the car a better stance, but it really doesn't impact headroom quite as bad as you would expect. There's a bulge back there in the roof, so that way 6'2" guys like myself have a fair amount of room, and the leg room back there is pretty good too. I just wish they didn't make the air vents back there and the rear seats look so cheap. They could have done something like they had up front to really make it look higher class. It looks like they just pulled them out of the spare parts bin. That's my only complaint from back there. Very comfy. Obviously the trunk has plenty of room as well. Now, with any car, there are a few things I don't like, so I guess I'm going to go over a couple things with this car that just don't really float my boat. Now, this SE trim, trying to be more sporty, has a lot of body styling cues that do look very good in my opinion, but there are a couple that I think take it a bit too far. Now, to be honest, behind the rear taillights, which look amazing, like they're well sculpted, they look a lot more purposeful, and they look very aggressive and sporty, especially compared to the old Camry's ones. They look classy and sporty at the same time. That's great. Love the taillights, but what I don't like are the intake vents below the taillights. They're blatantly fake. I think the whole look as one is okay, but when you come up and you look at the vent and they don't even try to hide the fact that it's fake. Like there aren't even fake openings. It's just a piece of plastic stuck on there. It's blatantly obvious that they're not real, and that is kind of stupid in my opinion. And other than that, the styling outside is perfect. Now, a couple other things I don't like. Since they put in the effort, the new TNGA platform, they did double wishbones in the rear, McPherson struts in the front. Since they went through all that effort to make the car handle better, why not do a little bit more of the steering calibration? Like, the steering and the steering rack are having communication issues right now. Like, I turn the wheel, and whilst it feels fairly well weighted, the steering wheel and the actual tires on the road just don't send the amount of feel back to me that I would want as a sports car driver. Now, obviously, that's a nitpicky complaint. This car isn't meant to be a sports car, but if they were going to put through the effort with this whole new platform, why not just take it a little bit further and really make it something that would blow my mind? For a Camry, very good. For the people who are going to buy this car, it's great. But why not just take it a little bit further and make it something that the enthusiasts are going to wow? Now, let's talk about a few features that you can get on upper level Camrys. I'm trying to make this a comprehensive review for everyone that's looking at a Camry. Now, if you go up for the XSE V6, you get ridiculous features. You get a panoramic moonroof, you get red leather seats as an option, you get red quilted leather seats in a Camry. It's ridiculous. You get some red leather on the dashboard, you get an 8-inch display, you get a 9-speaker, 800-watt JBL sound system, in comparison to this 6-speaker system. The 6-speaker one's fine, but the 800-watt, I guarantee you, is going to be a hell of a lot better. And obviously you get the 301 horsepower V6 engine, which rockets this car. I haven't driven it yet because dealerships haven't gotten them yet since this car just came out, but that car must be ridiculous. But for the average buyer, this Camry, stickering at $25,800, is totally the budget conscious and very, very well equipped model that most people are going to buy. Honestly, this car has a lot of good features. You have Toyota Active Safety Sense with the lane departure warning. As you saw earlier, it reprimanded me quite a bit. You have automatic emergency braking. Very solid stuff that you can get in a car of this price range. You can get blind spot monitoring on higher trims, adaptive cruise control, all that stuff. I do wish I had the blind spot on the lower trims. I think that would be a nice package to add on, but unfortunately they can't always do that. Now, overall, I think this new Camry has completely changed the game. I'm excited to see what Honda brings out with their new 2018 Accord. I feel like the Accord is definitely going to be the more driver-centric one, but I feel like this Camry, it just drives like a luxury car. Even in this base model SE, it just drives so much nicer than you would expect. It's very quiet, it's very relaxed. It'll have that bulletproof Toyota reliability that you come to expect. And the price point is just so well, it just makes so much sense for a lot of buyers. And honestly, that's what the Camry's always been about. It's been about appeasing the masses. It's the car that everyone's gonna buy, the car that everyone can buy, and it'll appease everyone and take care of everyone's needs. But it also has a lot more flair than the old Camry. I very, very, very much like this car. I'm not sure if I'd ever buy one being a car enthusiast, but Toyota totally stepped up the game. Can't wait to see what the rest of the market has to do, see how they compete, and see if this car really sells on the numbers that Toyota is hoping that it sells at. As always, I very, very much appreciate Orosman Chantilly Toyota lending us this car for the review today. Those guys are awesome. Huge shout out to David Timoner, Arlo Guthrie. Those guys work there. They've been super nice lending me the car. Absolutely phenomenal people. We bought a car from them before. Flawless experience, and I really would recommend checking them out if you're in the DC metro area and you're looking for a Toyota product. Hey, this thing actually doesn't handle as bad. I'm getting to push it through some twisties here, and the steering, it's really not that bad. Like, it's obviously not the most communicative thing ever out there, but damn, not bad at all. Figured I'd finish off the review with some sporty driving. And as always, please check us out, motormindsproductions.com. Hit that subscribe button, please. It helps us out in so many more ways than you could ever imagine, especially being a startup YouTube channel. It really, really does make a difference when you just hit that subscribe button. And always drop us a comment, because we love to interact with our viewers. We like to hear your feedback. And if you have any more questions, we would love to be able to assist. So please drop a comment, send us an email. We'll definitely get back to you same day. And as always, just check us out and look forward to seeing you guys watching our next video.